Yes, I'm gonna be drawing a fox using Simply Draw. Okay.
Let's draw this adorable napping fox together step by step, from flat outlines to a fully shaded and fur textured drawing. This is all we're gonna draw for this step, but where do we begin? Well, let's take a look at a reference photo of a fox. I love this photo because he's all curled up into himself, slumbering blissfully. It's also a pretty easy image to break down into simple shapes. For instance, since the fox is curled up into a ball, we can interpret its main shape as an ellipse. Now, I want my fox to be at the center of the page, not too big or too small, so I'll create a little rectangle guide for myself. It'll help me draw the fox within it as close to what I can see in the reference. Draw along with me and place your hand in the middle of the page. Mark each side with a vertical line. Remember to use light pencil pressure when marking guides. Now, pull lines from these marks. Don't draw them too tall, we're trying to draw a rectangle after all. Now you can complete the rectangle shape by pulling two horizontal lines. If you're not sure if your rectangle is rectangly enough, just make sure that this part... Let's draw this adorable napping fox together step by step, from flat outlines to a fully shaded and fur textured drawing. This is all we're gonna draw for this step, but where do we begin? Well, let's take a look at a reference photo of a fox. I love this photo because he's all curled up into himself, slumbering blissfully. It's also a pretty easy image to break down into simple shapes. For instance, since the fox is curled up into a ball, we can interpret its main shape as an ellipse. Now, I want my fox to be at the center of the page, not too big or too small, so I'll create a little rectangle guide for myself. It'll help me draw the fox within it as close to what I can see in the reference. Draw along with me and place your hand in the middle of the page. Mark each side with a vertical line. Remember to use light pencil pressure when marking guides. Now, pull lines from these marks. Don't draw them too tall, we're trying to draw a rectangle after all. Now you can complete the rectangle shape by pulling two horizontal lines. If you're not sure if your rectangle is rectangly enough, just make sure that this part is smaller than this part.
Guys,
Ways. Anyway.
Now let's complete the guide by finding the rectangle's middle. Eyeball the middle of the top and bottom and pull a vertical line. Then eyeball the middle of each side and pull a horizontal guide. Now we know that this is the circle's middle. Now that we have a good looking guide to work with, we can finally start drawing our fox within it. First of all, let's turn this rectangle into the elliptical shape we saw in the reference. All we have to do is round up the edges of each corner by pulling arches from the corner of this section to its middle, then doing the same thing mirrored on the other side. And same thing with the bottom corners. When you're done, erase all the unnecessary lines, keeping only the ellipse in our guides. Now we have a good looking guide for the entire body of the fox. Great work so far. This may not seem like much right now, but soon enough this elliptical outline will become a fox. What shall we draw next? I think I'd like to start from the tail. It's the first thing my eyes are drawn to when looking at this fox. Now that we have our guide, we can look at the reference for inspiration and figure out how to draw it. Let's take a closer look at the flow of the tail. See how it curves and tapers at the end? I think it sorta starts here at the middle of the section, then curves down, crossing the middle, connecting to the elliptical shape. Then I think it curves up here, crosses the middle point, and then curves back down and up. You don't have to follow exactly what I'm doing. Use your guide and your reference to draw the tail however you see fit. I'm only here for guidance and inspiration. What's next? Let's go for something really easy and add this leg that's hiding behind the tail with one simple curved line. Let's move on to the head and the ears. When I look at the reference, I can sort of see the head is the width of 2/3 of this section. So I'll mark it in my drawing by dividing this section into thirds as well. For the top of the head, I'll draw a half circle starting at the left edge, going down into the guide. Look at the fox's ears. What shape do you see? I see two very rounded triangles, so I'll add them to my drawing too. I'll create a slanted ear on the left, starting from outside the guide, connecting to the edge of the head. Then the other ear around here, again with this slanted, rounded edged triangle. Now all that's left to do is add a little diagonal line inside the shape, and done! This ear is facing away from us, so we can't see the inside of it. Another very weird sentence to say. See how our fox is napping oh so peacefully? Let's give him two shut eyes with simple curved lines right on top of this line. Take inspiration from what you see in the reference, but you can draw the eyes any way you'd like. Now let's give this fox his signature pointy nose. I'll draw a little circle outside the guide since the nose is poking out of the overall shape. And just so I can see it a little better, I'll fill it with a dark tone. Now I can draw the bridge of the nose by connecting it from the eye down to his pointy snout. Adorable, isn't it? Okay, time to erase all of our guidelines, leaving only the lines we want to keep. Use the edge of your eraser and take your time. Go over the whole shape and erase any lines you don't need anymore. If you end up erasing too much, you know that's no problem. You can always take this opportunity to redraw and refine your lines to make your drawing even better. Great work! You now have a fantastic looking outline of a fox. In the next step, we'll make it pop out of the page with the power of shading. In this step, we're gonna make our fox look far more realistic with the power of shading. First things first, let's give the fox a little muzzle around his mouth. It'll keep it the wide of the page when I'll shade later. From what I can see in the reference, the ears and the eyes are much darker than the rest, so let's fill the ears in our drawing with a dark tone. I'll use this opportunity to make the ear just a bit pointier. That's what's great about drawing with a guide. You can always reshape it as you progress through your drawing. I'll make the eyes pop out even more by going over their shape with a dark tone. Use harder pencil pressure, but be mindful of how hard you're pressing. You don't want to etch your page. Let's use shading in layers to shade the fox's fur. But first, let's fill the body with the base layer of the fur's lightest tone, just as we've learned when we practiced. I only want to shade the body right now, so I'll mark a little border here at the leg to keep me from going over. As we've established, when drawing fur, we initially want to start with the base layer of our lightest tone. It'll represent the lightest tone of the fox's fur. Shade with light pencil pressure in the fur's direction. You can allow yourself to be a little rough and work in patches. We'll blend those tones together later and cover it with a whole lot of fur. Right now, we're just creating a base layer. I purposefully left the inside of the ear the white of the page to make it pop out in contrast to the darker tones around it.
Yeah, this guy's just much more powerful than before. Oh wow. Interest is actually back to me. This is so back. He's so back, dude. Oh yeah, he's so back. Why can't you die?
See how the tail in the reference is really dark down here? I'll add a little guide along the shape of the tail and fill it with a base midtone as well. Then I'll add a really light tone over here at the leg with very little pencil pressure. I don't want it to be the white of the page completely, so I'll give it just a very subtle fill. Now let's make this tail appear far more three-dimensional and realistic by adding another layer of shading. Just as we've practiced before, we'll use volume shading to add a darker layer to the edges of the tail, making it appear more realistic. Shade along with the shape, and allow yourself to work in patches. The fox's tail is bushy and fluffy, so allow yourself to have fun with it. You can use slightly harder pencil pressure, but since you're layering on top of an existing one, you can just go over it lightly to make it darker.
This is actually relaxing. Oh, my pencil. I have to pencil on my people, so. That hurt me a lot.
Now that I'm done with the bottom of the tail, I'll move on to its top, making it feel more spherical. Take your time and go slow. There's no need to rush. Since the leg is also very spherical, let's use the same volume shading technique to make it feel more three-dimensional as well. You don't have to give volume shading to the whole leg, just a little over here would be more than enough to give it a more realistic feel. But you can shade the whole shape if you'd like, don't let me stop you. And now, for some final touches, let's add another coat of midtone over certain areas to make them feel a bit more detailed. For instance, I'll add another layer of shading here, as if the leg is casting a shadow on the body. This is just my choice though, layer your shading however you see fit. I'll also add another drop shadow here, under the ear, and what else? How about giving the eyes some more specificity, just as I can see in the reference? Yeah, that looks nice. I wonder what choices you made. Great work so far, amazing progress. In the next and final step, we'll finally get to make this fox as furry as can be with the power of fur texture. In this final step, we're finally gonna give the fox its iconic fur texture, making him appear far more realistic. I think I'll start with the fox's tail and use the pencil flicking technique to add individual hairs coming out of the shape, redefining its contour, making it look fuzzier. Just as we've practiced, add these pencil flicks in the direction of the fur, start with hard pencil pressure, and then with a swift motion, loosen it. It's all in the wrist. Lock and release. Work in the direction of the hair and the shape itself. From what I can see in the reference, the tail has longer hairs than, let's say, his leg, so I'll take that into consideration when filling in the tail with longer strands of hair. See how the lines taper at the end, making it feel like real hair? Take your time and add as many little hairs as you'd like. Every now and then, look away from your drawing and look at it again with fresh eyes. It'll help you assess which areas need more textures and which areas could maybe use a little less of it. If some angles are a bit harder to get to, you can always flip your page. When I'm done with the bottom of the tail, I'll move on to its top using the same technique as before. This is your drawing, so work on the tail for as long as you'd like until you're happy with what you've got. Great start! Now everything else looks a little too neat, right? Let's add some pencil flicks to the side of the leg, coloring outside the lines, pulling strands of hair out of the shape, once again refining its contour to appear fuzzier. As we've seen, the hair on the leg is shorter, so I'll keep that in mind when making my pencil flicks. Fill the hairs as you'd like. Notice I'm trying to work along with the shape to give it This fox just keeps getting better and better. Now let's add pencil flicks to the body of the fox, starting from the In this final step, we're finally gonna give the fox its some whiskers with 3 dots and a few swift pencil flicks. And there you have it! You created your very own slumbering fox. From simple shapes to a beautiful drawing shaded in layers and textured with fur. Great job! I hope you had as much fun as I had, and I can't wait to draw with you again. Look at your adorable fox! The fluffy fur you drew makes it soft and cuddly. It can now peacefully take its afternoon nap. Okay, now let's be quiet and let it dream of, whatever fox dream of. Now that you've mastered fur, it's time to move forward to proportions and combine both powers in the legendary squirrel drawing. Go ahead, add it to your journal. Mastering the skill of proportions will allow us to draw more accurate and realistic representations of any animal we choose to draw. Up until now, whenever we had to draw a certain shape, let's say a rectangle, we kept it loose and just eyeballed its proportions. As a quick warm-up and just to feel the pencil against the paper, let's draw a bunch of differently proportioned rectangles. This is a consequence-free zone, so just have fun with it. Practice making straight lines, get all the wobbly ones out of the way. This is just like a stretch before a run. Okay, how are you feeling? Feeling ready? When you are, move on to the next part in which we'll create a new rectangle, this time with accurate proportions. All of these rectangles are fine, but what if we made one based on accurate proportions? It's actually really easy. Create a horizontal line for the base. Not too long, not too short. Now, let's say we want the rectangle's height to be 2 times its width. It could be any number, I'm just using 2 as an example. All we have to do to draw it in our desired proportions is to pick up our trusty pencil and use its sharpened tip for measurement. Place the tip of the pencil at one end and your thumb at the other. Now we know that this measurement is the width we made. Now, since we want this rectangle to be twice its width, we can move our pencil measurement over here and mark it. Then again, right on top of your previous mark. In case you missed it, let's watch it again. Place the tip of the pencil at one end and your thumb at the other. Then use that measurement over here and mark it 2 times, stacked one on top of the other. Now we can use the line of the base for measurement again to assist us in completing this rectangle. And done! We now have a rectangle drawn in our desired proportions. Okay, so this is how we do it when we decide on the relations between the width and the height. In the next step, we'll see how to find the proportions ourselves from a reference photo. Now let's see how we can spot the proportions of a subject using a reference photo. For example, look at this bird. Let's try to figure out the ratio between the height of its beak and the length of its beak. If this is the height of the beak, how many times do you think it could fit in the length of the beak? I think 1, 2, 3 times. So, keeping those proportions in mind, let's create a rectangle in those accurate measurements. Let's say the height of the beak is not too long, not too short. That's the height of the beak we decided on. Everything else would be in relation to it. Now remember how we saw that the height fits 3 times into the length of the beak? Now all that's left to do is to place the tip of the pencil at one end and your thumb at the other, and then use that measurement over here and mark it 1, 2, 3, one next to the other. Now we can complete the shape, and for more accuracy, you can use the height measurement again on the parallel side. Now, I know this may seem like just a simple rectangle, but it's actually much more than that. By learning how to observe a reference and spot its proportions, you took your first steps in drawing much more complicated subjects and advancing the level of realism in your work to new heights. How many times does the width of the head fit into the length of the body? Yes, you got it! How many times does the height of the head fit into the length of the neck? That's right! How many times does the head fit into the height of the body? Perfect! Great job! You've accomplished so much! You learned how to use your pencil for measurements, created a shape based on your desired proportions, and spotted correct proportions in a reference photo. So congratulations! You've just unlocked your next subject! Let's draw this magnificent looking toucan together step by step, from outlines created with our newly learned skill of proportions to a beautifully shaded and textured drawing. This is all we're gonna do for this step,